Hi, everyone. It's so fun to see your names popping up. We're going to wait a few minutes to allow for our attendees to join. And if I could sing, I would be kind of singing along so you had music as you join, but that's not my thing, so I'm just going to chat a bit. I feel like I'm at Romper Room for all of those who might be of my age. I'm seeing friends like Robert Superoli. I see our author illustrator Will Hillenbrand is in the audience. Welcome, Will. And lots of Candlewick and Holiday House and Pixel colleagues are joining us today too. Oh, I see Maren Ostergaard, Lucinda Whitehurst. So it's fun to see everyone. So, and Kathy Shore. So we're at 2:01. So Dana, if you think we should wait one more moment, we will.
Sure, maybe just another 30 seconds.
Okay. Sounds good. I see we have members of our sales team, our editorial colleagues all here, our designers. That's fun. So Saskia just dropped a note into the chat, which everyone could read. But this is a webinar as opposed to a meeting. So we don't have a live Q&A today, but if you have questions, just drop it into the chat and we'll answer as many as we can before we end. Oh, I see Robert responded. I remember Romper Room and Miss Jean. Brandy's saying hi. Lucinda's calling out from Virginia. Maren from Washington State. Oh, how fun. Bernadette, oh my gosh. Bernadette's from San Antonio. Oh, this is so cool. Laura Lloyd, we have not met personally, but you have not missed a Candlewick preview in years, so we're so glad that you're back. Catherine is here from Boston, very close to our Somerville office. And Amy is here from Connecticut. All right. I think we can go ahead and begin. Is everybody good on the Candlewick Holiday House Peachtree side? We're all good? All right, I see some thumbs up. And we are recording this, is that correct? Yes, we are being recorded. So in case anybody who is in the audience, if you want to share this with colleagues, the recording will be available. So welcome everyone to our first ever Candlewick Holiday House and Peachtree new book preview for spring 2025. I'm Terry Borzamato Greenberg, Vice President of School and Library Marketing for our group, and I am thrilled to have our new team share with you a selection of our upcoming books from our publishers and imprints. We have Walker Books US, MIT Kids Press, and MIT Teen Press from Candlewick. Margaret Ferguson Books and Neil Porter Books, the eponymous imprints of Holiday House, plus Pixel and Ink. And Peachtree's eponymous imprint, Margaret Quinlan Books and Peachtree Teen, which burst onto the scene with an instant New York Times bestseller in Hell Followed With Us and continues each season with incredible YAs. So there won't be a test at the end, but you've got the imprints on that slide should anybody get confused. So of course, we have so many more titles coming this spring. So then you'll see today. So please join us at Edelweiss to view our full collection of what you're seeing this afternoon and all our soon to be published books. We are most thrilled too to have two talented authors with us today. More on Samantha van Leer and Megan McDonald during the presentation. Before we jump in to the new books, I must share the incredible news from this past Wednesday night. It was only 2 days ago. On a rooftop in Tribeca in New York City, Candlewick author Kenneth M. Cadeau was named the winner of the 2024 Kirkus Prize for Young People's Literature for his Gather. What an honor to add to the already impressive list of accolades for this tremendous work, including National Book Award finalist and Michael L. Prince Honor Book. Ken's young adult novel tells about a boy living in poverty with his mother who is struggling with opioid addiction. In their citation, the Kirkus Prize jurors wrote of Gather, humor, grace, and tenderness bring to life this beautifully realized story. We couldn't agree more. Congratulations, Ken. Lookbook videos originated by Candlewick and now expanded to include Holiday House and Peachtree titles give you an inside peek into the creation of select titles. Be sure to scan the QR code on the screen to go to our full YouTube playlist of Spring 25 videos to get an introduction to some of our new titles direct from the creators themselves. I'd like to share two before we begin that we're back with the 4th season of our Black Creators series. In this educator-focused series, highlighting the work of Black authors and illustrators, Dr. Sonia Cherry Paul leads discussions with children's book creators about their work and the powerful ways their books can live in classrooms. More to come on this new season at a later date. Now on to spring 2025. Our presentation is bookended by two amazing creators. Samantha van Leer is the co-author of the New York Times best-selling novels Between the Lines and Off the Page, which she recently helped adapt into an off-Broadway musical. A graduate of Vassar College, Samantha also holds a master's degree in education and was previously a 4th grade classroom teacher. We are so excited to have Samantha here today to talk about her new middle grade novel coming in March from Pixel and Ink. The Extraterrestrial Zoo, Book 1, Finding the Lost One, stars 13-year-old Ava, who helps run her family's refuge for extraterrestrials. But a sudden attack on the zoo leads to her discovering a government conspiracy that upends everything she believed to be true. I and others on the team had the pleasure of meeting Samantha in person for the first time at TLA earlier this year, and we are just delighted that she's here with us today to share an inside look into the beginning of the Extraterrestrial Zoo series. Samantha, welcome.
Hi. I want to make sure everyone can see me. All good to go. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to start off this spring preview webinar today. And thank you, Terry, for a wonderful introduction. So as Terry said, my newest series is the Extraterrestrial Zoo series, bit of a mouthful. And I'm so excited to talk about the first book in this series called Finding the Lost One. And I know you just got a little kind of taste of it, but I'll give you a little bit more background as to what this story is about. So it's told through 13-year-old Ava's eyes, and it's set in a world much like our own, but with a little sci-fi twist to it. For the past 16 years, twice a year, alien creatures have been sent to Earth in a little pod with no reason, no rhyme, no explanation. And Ava and her family have the privilege of running the alien zoo, where these creatures are hatched from their pods, they're cared for, studied, researched, and like a regular zoo, they're introduced to the world as something to not fear, but rather adore and learn from. And through a series of really unfortunate events, Ava actually ends up running the zoo basically by herself with a little bit of help from her emotionally distant Uncle Pete, who suffers from PTSD from his time in Iraq, and also their very new and very helpless, but goofy and lovable intern, Harley. And when a hurricane strikes the zoo, releasing the aliens into the woods of Maine, it's up to Ava to find these creatures and bring them back to the zoo safe and sound before someone else, maybe less caring, finds them first. And I'm really excited to talk about this series with you all today because I wrote this book for kids. And I know you're thinking it's a middle grade book. Of course, it's for kids. But what I mean by that is, as Terry said, I used to be a fourth grade teacher. I taught fourth grade for 5 years in Massachusetts. And when I was writing this book, I was thinking about my students. I was writing this for my students. I remember when I was teaching, being a little bit, you could say, mortified, I guess, by my 9 and 10-year-olds who were coming into the classroom saying that they were watching Stranger Things or the newest Alien franchise movie. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, they're consuming this sci-fi media, but at this very adult level of content. And when I started looking into books and sci-fi books for middle grade readers, I found this hole in this genre. There's a lot of sci-fi for adult, there's a lot of sci-fi for YA, but there isn't a lot out there for middle grade. But I knew that my students really loved this genre. So I knew I wanted my book to have tons of extraterrestrial creatures that they could just fall in love with and, really just engross them. I also really wanted my book to hold students' attention. And one of my favorite things, and I'm sure if there are teachers and librarians on this webinar today, you understand, is when you're doing a read aloud and you leave off on a major cliffhanger and the entire classroom just collectively calls out, "No!" That level of engagement is just so exciting. And so I knew I wanted my book to have those twists and turns and adventure to keep the students engaged in reading. And then finally, this might be a little bit more for the teacher side than the kids, but I wanted these deeper themes woven throughout the story that could really lead to community conversations in the classroom. For example, you might have noticed that the series title is Extraterrestrial Zoo. But in the story, Ava actually works at the alien zoo. And this is one of the topics that Ava discusses in the story. She talks about this term alien and how in our society, in her society, it feels like a dirty word to her. Politically, it's often used as a word to mean other, someone that doesn't belong, someone that's not supposed to be here. To her, her creatures were meant to be at the zoo with her. They were meant to be here on Earth. They're part of her family. And so she prefers the scientific term, because she is a scientist, of extraterrestrial. And if she was to rename the zoo, she would call it the Extraterrestrial Zoo. But there's lots of themes like that woven in and out of the book that I hope, even though it's a very sci-fi fiction, fantastical piece, readers can still connect it to our very real world and things that are going on today. But I will leave you all with the greatest review I've actually ever received on a book. On this particular book, I had the greatest privilege of working with an amazing librarian in Florida as a beta reader for this story. And she helped me so much creatively on this book. And one of the wonderful things she did was connect me to actual middle schoolers to read a few chapters of the book and give me some feedback to make sure I was hitting my audience spot on. And one seventh grade boy that she had read, she asked, what do you think of the story? And he said, it was a really nice break from regular books, which to me is just the greatest honor as a writer. That is what I want to hear. And so I hope that you read this story. I hope you share it with your students or your kids, or just enjoy it yourself. And I hope that it is a nice break from regular books.
Samantha, thank you so, so much for this inside
Yeah.
look into your newest work. We all cannot wait to meet all of the extraterrestrial living beings, or ELBs, as they are lovingly referred to in the book. So thank you very
Thank you.
much. Now, I will turn over the presentation to Saskia Denboon. Oh my gosh, Saskia Denbone, who will introduce us to books for the very, very youngest readers. Saskia, to you.
Everybody, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm Saskia, School and Library Marketing Assistant, and we'll jump right in with our first look at the Spring 2025 board books. I'm thrilled to introduce to you this trio of friendly board books from New York Times best-selling author, Caldecott medalist, and Geisel honoree John Klassen. Your Farm, Your Island, and Your Forest feature John's signature charming characters with a gentle rhythm that is perfect for bedtime read-alouds. The trio presents a fresh take on play, offering toddlers their own space to imagine, to build in, and to fall asleep in, held out for them by a benevolent narrator. These board books are truly a celebration of John Klassen's pleasingly minimal art with a depth of expression and humor that you might recognize from The Skull. Next February, the Your Places trilogy will become your next board book obsession. River's Journey and Rock's Journey mark the launch of a new original board book series about earth science in action from a Cyber Award-winning author, Sally M. Walker. Step by step, kids will follow the natural movements of rivers and rocks from spring to ocean and mountain to beach. Kim Smith's lush illustrations bring the learning to life by encouraging questions and observations of the natural world. Meet Dai Shuma's absolutely adorable Ada and Animal Friends in this original board book duo full of big smiles and even bigger surprises. In Ada, Are You Ready? And Look at My Teeth, lion, hippo, and more show off their chomps in pops of color perfect for birthdays and brushing before bedtime. And coming to a bookshelf near you, we are excited to announce new board book editions of picture books that you know and love. Will Hillenbrand's deliciously cozy illustrations are sure to steal hearts in Spring is Here, one of our best-selling Baron Mole classics. And as the first of our Big Jobs Bold Women series to release in board, Fireflighter Flow features dynamic artwork from Dan Yacarino, Nickelodeon character designer for the Backyardians, and energetic verse from Andrea Zimmerman, best-selling author of Trashy Town. And now over to Dana for a sneak peek of our picture book collection.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dana Eager, and I am School and Library Marketing Manager, and I am excited to be here today to present some of our upcoming titles, starting with these awesome picture books. So first up, Geisel Award-winning author of the See the Cat series, David LaRochelle, has written and illustrated a new series along with you. This new Draw and Erase series starts with the titles, This Pirate Needs Your Help, and This Sheep Needs Your Help. These interactive adventure books come with a dry erase marker, so creative kids can help the pirate and sheep by drawing what they need to escape. You won't want to miss these clever and creativity-inducing novelty books. From Caldecott honoree Sean Harris comes a fun and engaging read-aloud in Let's Be Bees. Let's be bees, let's buzz. Full of animal sounds and invitations to play, kids will love this rhythmic call and response story, urging them and their grown-ups to use their imagination. Sean's illustrations feature striking crayon with thick, bold lines and energy that buzzes from every page. Award-winning creator Hai One Yum's knack for the adorable is at full power in this picture book, Toto. The little girl doesn't mind her birthmark most of the time. She calls it Toto, and her mom calls it a kiss from an angel. But sometimes it feels like people look so hard at Toto they forget to see her. The warm and vulnerable story grapples with the pressure we feel to blend in and celebrate the moments and the friends that remind us how much better it is to be our full selves. And inspired by debut author Harshini Vankaneni's own life, What Color is the Baby? A Celebration of Skin Tones is a moving journey of big sister Kundana finding a new and loving way to describe her beloved baby sister Cuckoo. In an author's note at the back of the book, Vankaneni explains her own experiences with colorism in her family and says, As a person of color, I want my kids to grow up living their their special rich shades and also to appreciate the beauty in all skin tones. I wish for the day when families would welcome a newborn baby without bias toward its color and instead feel its true beauty, as Kundana could with her baby sister Cuckoo. Neha Rawat's warm illustrations delight with coziness and love of the new baby's family. The Peanut Man is based on beloved author Carmen Agredidi's own experience immigrating from Cuba to the United States as a little girl. After leaving behind everything she knows, including her friend Emilio, the Peanut Man, Cokie is ecstatic when she gets to attend her first baseball game and meets another so called Peanut Man, all while watching her favorite player, Henry Aaron. With luminous illustrations by two-time Pura Belpré award-winning artist Raul Colon, this story of immigration, of being displaced and finding a connection to home, reveals our humanity regardless of culture, color, or creed. The Peanut Man has been Carmen's signature story for years, and there is even an author's note at the back of the book depicting the time she got to tell the story to Henry Aaron himself. This book will also be published simultaneously in Spanish with the title of El Manicero. And in addition to Carmen Agredidi's title, we are so happy to be publishing an assortment of new titles in Espanol this spring, featured on this slide, including books published simultaneously in English and Spanish, and old favorites that are releasing in Spanish for the very first time. You can find the full list of the curated Holiday House en Espanol and Peachtree en Espanol lines on our website, and the links are also in the chat for the Candlewick titles and Holiday House and Peachtree. So make sure you check those out. And now I'm handing it over to Tiffany to tell us about the rest of our picture books.
Thank you, Dana. Hi, I'm Tiffany Quello, Marketing Coordinator for the School and Library team. From the New York Times bestselling author John Shu and illustrator Holly Haddam comes a celebration of poetry and possibilities that follow Ruthie Rose, a child who sparks to life a special space in her school for exploring ideas of all kinds. Collaged throughout the artwork are intriguing snippets of language and lines from classic poems sure to inspire young poetry lovers to discover more. In When I Hear Spirituals, Cheryl Willis Hudson has woven together lyrics of 12 timeless Black spirituals, including Go Down Moses and Nobody Knows the Troubles I See, with a moving exploration of how music holds memories, emotions, and empowerment. Evocative illustrations by award-winning artist London Ladd depict important people and places in Black history and culture, and Hudson pairs each historical scene with fitting lyrics from real spirituals. Back matter includes personal notes from the author and illustrator, information about the historical events mentioned in the books, a glossary, and links to the complete lyrics of the songs. Next, we'll be going on to some nonfiction titles. Mina and the Microbiome is perfect for inquisitive kids. Physician scientist Dr. Majdi Osman introduces the adorable Mina during a day of eye-opening exploration in the garden with her mother. Illustrator Teresa Martinez's engaging illustrations capture the mother-daughter pair in different perspectives, ranging from microscopic to bird's eye view, as they discuss what makes a microbiome. Bounce into Bubbles in this follow-up from the team behind this book is full of holes. Author Nora Nickum and illustrator Robert Megank filled with fascinating and unusual examples from diverse STEM fields, including physics, biology, geology, food science, and medicine. This book bubbles over with fun and thought-provoking facts about our world. The Books for a Better Earth collection is designed to inspire young people to become active, knowledgeable participants in caring for the planet they live on. Focusing on solutions to climate change issues, these books look at how scientists, activists, and young leaders are working to safeguard Earth's future. Here's a look at our 4-stellar sustainable titles in our Spring 25 season. In Plight of the Pelican, sweeping illustrations depict the brown pelican's journey from near extinction to a robust populous species. In The Air We Share, readers will learn about air cycles and what people can do to protect the air that we share. Riverkeeper delves into the history of environmental activism in the Hudson River watershed and explains how you can help organizations like Riverkeeper protect clean water around the globe. And in Scat, discover how poop can actually help protect our planet through the nutrient cycle and scientific problem solving. And next we'll go on to Anne.
Hi, I'm Anne Ursa-Leggett, Educational Marketing Manager. You know and love our award-winning I Like to Read and I Like to Read comics series for emerging readers. These series developed for the very newest readers include exceptional works from Caldecott recipients and more. We also have a line of I Like to Read titles in Spanish, Me Gusta Leer. For spring, we have a great selection of new I Like to Read comics coming out. Can't wait for Michael Emberley's newest companion book to his Geisel winner, I Did It. In Nightlight, when a blackout ruins a bedtime story, the crying child's parent gathers stars to light up the room. But now someone else is crying. It's the moon. So the parent returns the stars to the sky, and both parent and child pack up their blankets and pillows to sleep outside. In The Luna Sisters and the Battle for the Moon Blossom is by Dan Yaccarino. Sisters Lucy and Nira are opposites. Yet while they're squabbling, a galactic green goat is about to gobble up their moon blossom, and that inspires the sisters to come together to outwit the goat and rescue their moon blossom. We have so many wonderful series, and I'm delighted to share some of the most recent additions that focus on friendship. In Lost and Found, the second in the Oris and Timble series, each night, Timble visits Oris in the barn and listens to his stories. But Timble is growing up, and one evening, when the owl doesn't appear as usual, Oris wonders if Timble has forgotten him. Is their friendship over? And every friendship faces challenges, but you can count on Katie Camillo to masterfully explore the stories we tell ourselves, the stories we tell each other, and the binding magic of friendship. Vicky Fang brings us another Ava Lynn story, and Ava Lynn, One of a Kind. In Ava's first grade class, if you do something kind for someone, that person puts a ticket in your bucket, and whoever has the most tickets by the end of the week gets to choose a prize. Ava really wants to choose that narwhal eraser. She needs that eraser. But if you're doing nice things just so you can pile up tickets, is that really the same as being kind to others? Bear and Bird return in the Stick and Other stories. Jarvis's Bear and Bird are the kind of friends so eager to make each other happy, they will go to comical lengths to do it, such as when they both grab the same excellent stick on a windy day and then try to outdo each other with ways to give it back, until Bear comes up with a better use for their imagination.
And now moving on to graphic novels. We all know how much children and teens gravitate toward graphic novels, so we're so excited to have more to present to you. Starting with, we have a brand new chapter book series from Neil Porter Books. In Casey's Cases, The Mysterious New Girl, debut talent Kay Healy's winsome heroine Casey is ecstatic when she receives a magnifying glass and binoculars for her birthday. She can finally be a real detective. Casey is quick to make any small discovery or question its own case as she solves everything from the case of BJ's love note to the case of the lost cat with the help of her friends and family. The unique and charming geometric characters are crackling with wit and create the first in a hilarious new graphic novel series for readers aged 2 to 5. And now I will talk about even more second books in a continuing series for our exciting graphic novels. The second book in this funny and warm young chapter book graphic novel series by two-time Pulitzer Prize winner Steve Breen features 2 stories rendered in vibrant 3-color art. Sky and Tie 2 Dynamite is perfect for young chapter book graphic novel fans. Monty and Leo, A Mystery in Pocketville by Sylvie Kantorowicz is the second book in this simply charming graphic series. In 4 short chapters, best friends Monty and Leo learn how exciting it is to have a collection and also solve a mystery when Pocketville appears to have a thief. In the graphic novel Lizard Boy 2, The Most Perfect Summer Ever, creator Jonathan Hill continues to capture the relatable struggle of fitting in during middle school through a depiction of a lizard boy trying to fit in amongst humans. Luckily, he has made some unique misfit friends along the way who are there to support him when secrets are revealed.
In The Boy Who Lived in a Shell, Snippets for Wandering Minds, John Himmelman has created something new, a collection of story poems for younger readers ages 7 to 10. Ivo lives in a giant moon snail shell on a beach. One day, a wave carries him out to sea. While he waits to be rescued, he makes the very best of his time writing story poems on the walls inside his shell. At first, they seem like nonsense poems, but as you read, you discover the poems form stories as they connect together. There's Carrot Boy, who eats so many carrots that he turns into a rabbit. And many readers may find they are so concerned with the fates of dog siblings Toby and Pip that they read through looking just for their story to see what happens, as I did. And then one can go back to follow the other stories and see what was missed.
Montgomery Bonbon is a new mystery series written by comedian Alastair Beckett King and charmingly illustrated by the best-selling illustrator of The Swifts, Claire Powell. Kicking off with two new books, Murder at the Museum and Death at the Lighthouse, the Montgomery Bonbon series features 10-year-old Bonnie Montgomery, a regular girl who just happens to also be the greatest detective in the world. Not that anyone other than Grandpa Banks has heard of her, but they will have heard of Montgomery Bonbon, the gentleman detective. When Bonnie puts on her mustache, she goes from someone ordinary to someone extraordinary, someone who is confident, highly intuitive, and extremely adept at uncovering the truth, no matter how twisted and tricky the case is. Though these books are full of fun, friendship, and excellent food puns, Montgomery Bonbon is a true detective solving real life crimes. BBC Radio calls this hilarious new series Knives Out meets Perot, but for children.
In this beautiful and haunting fantasy, an imprisoned princess needs the help of a girl that tumbles through the pages of a locked family treasure to undo a wish gone wrong. Are you hooked yet? Blending fairy tale, science fiction, and family story, Snow explores isolation, shame, and misplaced responsibility in the context of family bonds. This is not your average princess story. Mira Trahan's ingenious characters ask the tough questions, and her icy fairy tale world unravels how to navigate familial bonds that can, unwittingly, shape our choices, until we find ways to master our own fates.
This historical coming-of-age novel feels as alive and present as today. Scattergood offers readers familiar with World War II a fascinating new glimpse of history, far from the battlefields of Europe. In rural Iowa, 12-year-old Peggy's quiet life is turned upside down by refugee arrivals, first love, and a heartbreaking diagnosis. H.M. Bauman presents a raw and unapologetic snapshot of a girl battling her own shortcomings and the random nature of life.
Rabbit Rabbit is a heartfelt upper middle grade novel with dual points of view, written by co-authors Dory Hillstead Butler and Sunshine Bacon. The story follows 12-year-old cousins Alice and Bee, whose mothers are estranged sisters with differing values and opinions that keep them apart. Amidst the reality of the COVID-19 pandemic, Alice and Bee make it their mission to bring their family back together. With an age-appropriate approach, Rabbit Rabbit tackles religion, sexuality, bodily autonomy, and the Black Lives Matter movement. It is a book about figuring out your own values regardless of how you were raised and doing your best to understand your loved ones even if you don't agree with them. This book was such a heartrending joy to read, and I can't wait for you to have the opportunity to get to know Alice and Bee.
When a bully at Maeve's school makes her life miserable over her weight, her mom thinks that she should just cheer up. But Maeve Mulvaney has had enough. Drawing inspiration from her favorite comics, Maeve creates a feminist superhero club, but it turns out that fighting back without becoming the bully yourself is harder than it seems. In this bold upper middle grade novel, women's rights activist Kelly Mangan explores the important questions of how to combat toxic positivity and fat phobia, and how to effectively advocate for meaningful change in your community. This heartfelt and uplifting novel serves as a sweet reminder that home is where you make it, and that the greatest superpower you have is your voice.
Now we have two nonfiction titles coming up. First is the third book in the Extraordinary Animals series, which delves into the mind-bending world of amazing animal brains. Readers will explore brains large and small, smooth and wrinkly, through fascinating sidebars, plenty of real science vocabulary, and full-color illustrations and photos. They can even put their own brains to the test through DIY neuroscience activities, from honing memory skills to getting focused through meditation.
Who Owns the Moon and Other Conundrums of Exploring and Using Space by Cynthia Levinson and Jennifer Swanson is a Junior Library Guild gold standard selection and ideal for teens who are space fans or history buffs or model UN enthusiasts. Loaded with fascinating facts, great stories, and new ways of thinking about the challenges of space, It covers developments in technology and considers the laws that have been drafted for space travel and space etiquette. What are internationally agreed upon norms of behavior that allow humans from many countries to explore without conflict? Who Owns the Moon challenges young readers to think about the decisions that need to be made in the years ahead to ensure that space exploration remains an exhilarating and peaceful activity. And the final chapter provides guidance on careers in the space industry.
And now we're moving on to YA. 8,000 years ago in Spain, 18-year-old Nahia, a born leader, is exiled when she speaks a forbidden truth aloud. Her people are facing a growing threat of invasion. With her sister Zara made the new heir, Nahia is sent away with a young man she barely knows. But deep in the wild, she uncovers a shocking talent for divining messages from the spirits, through which she learns that her people need her to come to their rescue. Author Dr. Emily Jones is an expert in the fields of archaeology, anthropology, and historical ecology. This debut novel is as compelling as it is accurate to the time period. This gripping feminist YA novel depicts first love, looming conquests, green sorcery, and the unbreakable bond between sisters.
At 17, superpowered True is still in hiding. Not even her closest friends know that she's balancing high school with stealth training. When assassins interrupt a mundane babysitting job, True flees with a 1-year-old strapped to her chest and spiraling questions. Who killed her parents? And what happens when you attempt to kiss the girl who's trying to hunt you down? Impeccably choreographed fights are balanced with inconvenient crushes and dress shopping for a debutante ball in this thriller from an award-winning author, Natalie C. Parker. The Assassin's Guide to Babysitting is the Babysitter's Club with riveting John Wick-level action and a whole lot of heart.
Among Serpents is book 2 of the Above the Black fantasy trilogy from Mark J. Gregson, the instant New York Times bestselling author of Sky's End. Tormented by tragedies of war and by betrayal from his own family, Conrad must prove his worth to all of the Skylands. Led by an unhinged explorer, Conrad embarks on a secret expedition to turn the tides of battle. And with friendship pushed to the brink and gentle romance stirring, Conrad will have to muster more than courage to weather the raging storms ahead. Strap in for a high-octane mission that hurls Conrad and crew towards jaw-dropping discoveries that could trigger total obliteration.
In the Underwood tapes, Amanda DeWitt, author of Aces Wild, A Heist, and Ren Martin Ruins It All, brings a story that combines mystery and loss. Since her mom died in a car crash, Grace has been so desperate to get away from the memories and reminders of her loss. Spending the summer transcribing cassette tapes for the Hermitage Historical Society might be boring, but boring is just what she needs. Until she hears the voice of Jake, who recorded the tapes back in 1992. Grace realizes he can hear anything she records, despite 30 years of time between them, and they strike up an impossible conversation. Might their conversation solve a town mystery? In the 1970s, a hurricane resulted in the tragic death of Jake's uncle Charlie. In a town as suffocatingly small as Hermitage, it's impossible not to notice how no one talks about that storm, or Charlie. And as the mystery unfurls, Grace can't help but notice a worse truth, that no one talks about Jake. This is a beautifully written exploration of grief and how untreated wounds bleed into future generations. The Underwood tapes is the perfect read for anyone looking for a cathartic cry or a fascinating time travel mystery.
Gloria Munoz's This Is the Year is a YA literary climate fiction novel set in a near-future Florida at the culmination of the climate crisis. When Julie is recruited by a private space exploration program planning to send a cohort of immigrant teens to establish the first human settlement in outer space, she must balance the significance of training for such an opportunity to save the planet with the trials of being a teen and dealing with the recent loss of her sister. This timely novel is primarily written in prose, but also interspersed with stunning verse passages meant to represent poems from Julie's poetry journal.
Thank you, Dana. I am pleased to share with you this dazzling YA anthology that confronts one of the most high-stakes questions for all of us right now. What is lost when books are kept from our young readers? I actually just got choked up. Edited by Ashley Hope Perez, the Prince Honor-winning author of Out of Darkness. This bold collection spotlights the transformative power of books while equipping teens to fight for the freedom to read. The talent that Ashley has put together is unmatched. We have Nikki Grimes, Ellen Hopkins, Bill Konigsberg, Tracy Sorrell, and so many others. You can see all their names listed on the slide. These luminaries include several Prince, Newbery, and Seibert honorees, Stonewall winners, New York Times bestsellers, and so many more. Together, these legendary 15 creators explore book bans through diverse lenses and genres, from moving personal accounts to clever comebacks aimed at censorship. Striking illustrations in 2-color from Ignatz-nominated artist Debbie Thong pair perfectly with this searing, impactful narrative. Teen activists looking for resources will find tips from the Vandergrift banned book clubs, as well as extensive recommended book lists, how to start your own little free library, and so much more. Band Together is a star-studded must-read that packs strength and power into every last word, and we can't wait for this collection to grace your shelves next March. I just started reading the arc that you can't see on my screen right now, and it is just so very powerful, and as we said, just so important for today. Now, before we leave you this afternoon, we have another really special treat. Our next guest speaker is one you know so well. Megan McDonald is, of course, the author of the popular and award-winning Judy Moody and Stink series. She has written many chapter books and picture books for children, including the first chapter book, Bunny and Clyde. We are so excited to have Megan here today to introduce her new chapter book series, Fairy Door Diaries, coming from Candlewick Press, about a girl who discovers a door to another world that opens and she goes off on enchanting adventures. So now, to share an inside look into this enchanting world, I'm pleased to welcome Megan McDonald.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to share with you a new series. I know most of you know me for Judy Moody and Stink, but this is something really different for me to write fantasy. So when I was on a book tour in Ireland, I started to come across all of these fairy doors, and fairy doors can be made of natural materials, and they're wonderful when you're just taking a hike in the woods and you find one tucked into a tree or something. But in Ireland, I also noticed that they made wooden doors, and they actually would sell the door in a little box with a fairy that went with it, so people could start to make fairy gardens and fairy trees and all sorts of things. So for some reason, I just became so fascinated with these tiny doors. And I thought, there are lots of fairy books, but I couldn't think of any that really concentrate on going through the door. So I decided that fairy doors would be sort of the opening of the series. And this is what Lenny Wen, the illustrator, came up with for the fairy door that'll be, this opens each book. And when you see the little fairy door, it says, "Imagine a door, a teeny tiny fairy door. Now imagine it is magic. Open the door." So my character is Eliza of the Elves, and she lives in a little cottage on Cape Cod. And underneath in her room, there's a small people-sized door that she goes through, and there's a secret space under the stairs. And when she crawls into her secret space, that's where she has a tiny fairy door that she's made that is at the baseboard of this secret space. And in the very first adventure, she gets sprinkled with fairy dust. She shrinks down to fairy size, gets whooshed through the fairy door, and she comes out into this magical land that you're seeing here, a land of flower fairies, but she's looking really closely and she doesn't see any fairies at the beginning. And one of the things I've done throughout the books is I tried to research a lot of the actual mythology and lore that goes with these fairies, from Celtic, from Cornwall, from Ireland, from Wales. So I became fascinated with the mythology. And one of the things that it told me was that in order to see fairies, you have to have a magic bracelet that is made of thyme. So Eliza finds this tiny little sprig of green and she recognizes it from the herb garden and she puts on her little bracelet that you see there. She's accompanied by her animal familiar, which is a dragonfly named Haiku, and she and Haiku step into this land of the fairies. And with the magic bracelet, she's suddenly able to see and befriend all of these flower fairies in the first adventure. But then, of course, something has to happen that gives us some suspense and something for Eliza to become the heroine. So she notices that all of the flowers are beginning to wilt and the flower fairies are weakening. And she finds out that a spell has been cast over fairyland by these two evil fairies, Wolfsbane and Belladonna. So it's up to Eliza. She has to figure out, as the human element, how, by going into this magical world, can she figure out how to save the flower fairies. And one of the things she does is she finds a tiny little cottage with a funny, friendly old witch named Witch Hazel, and Witch Hazel helps her figure out how to save the flower fairies. So Eliza has this wonderful adventure in fairyland, and when she comes back, after she usually solves a puzzle or a riddle or rescues or saves, there will be a different type of fairy in each book. So in one book, it might be elves or pixies or hobgoblins. And anyway, in this one, when she comes back from the land of the flower fairies, she's been given by a neighbor who's an old artist who lives in the cottage next to theirs. She's been given a diary, and all she has written so far in the diary, it just says, "This book belongs to Eliza of the Elves." That's what she calls herself. But when she gets back from the fairyland, she notices the diary has filled up, all the pages have filled up with all of this writing. And when she goes to read the diary has recorded the entire story of her adventure. So after she realizes that the diary contains her story, she goes to find her little sister Bee. And she says to Bee, "Would you like to hear a story?" And she reads to Bee her whole adventure about the flower fairies. And every book is going to end up, the last page will be Eliza reading to her little sister Bee. And Bee will ask the final question. Eliza asked Bee, "Is that a true story?" So I'm so excited to introduce these books to you. I hope you love them as much as I do. Wonderful artwork by Lenny Wen, who I've been getting a lot of responses just from the advanced copies about how booksellers and librarians and teachers have been saying, "We love the artwork because it's painted by hand, it's not digitally done." So it's very warm and welcoming. And kids have been responding. I've been so amazed how many kids know about fairy gardens and have one in their backyard or have one at school or have one at their library even. So I think there's so many connections we can make with this book, and I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I do.
Megan, thank you so much. That was wonderful. I know everyone is very eager to dive into the Fairy Door Diaries, and I know
Okay.
we'll wish that we had our own little fairy doors, but it sounds like There are some out there, or a lot out there. I just read Sarah Bean Thompson's comment. We're going to have to visit your library, Sarah, to find your hidden fairy doors. Now, we all do have access to time, so making magic time bracelets will transport us, Megan, along with your book. What a treat. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So thank you again to all of you for joining us today. We really have had such fun introducing our upcoming spring books, and we are thrilled that you have had a chance to hear directly from our amazing authors, from Megan, from Samantha. Again, we invite you to peruse the full Candlewick Holiday House and Peachtree lists on Edelweiss. We always like to hear from you, so feel free to reach out to Dana and Saskia, whose emails are up on the screen. And thank you both for really spearheading today's event. And of course, anyone could reach out to anyone, Tiffany, Ann, or myself on the school and library team. Be sure to grab a virtual goodie bag on your way out. We've dropped the link into the chat for your convenience. We also have some winners for our raffle, and we will be in touch. Thank you again to Dana, Saskia, and Tiffany for your thoughtful presentations. And thank you to our intrepid Theo, who is behind the scenes running today's presentation. We look forward to seeing everyone in person, possibly at the upcoming NCTE convention in Boston next month, or ALA LibLearnX, or Annual, or TLA, or the Winter and Children's Institutes for booksellers, and of course, festivals all across the country. Be sure to follow us on social media, sign up for our e-newsletters and e-blasts if you haven't already. Have a fabulous rest of the day and a great weekend. And our school and library team and our authors are just going to wave goodbye to everybody, and we will see you next time. And you guys can speak too, so that people will see your faces.
Thank you,
Um,
everybody.
That's right. Bye, everyone. Thanks so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you again. Bye, everyone.